Bakemonogatari Suruga Monkey is the third arc in the Monogatari series and the introduction to everyone's favourite Yuri monkey girl, Camry Suruga, as well as being the first time, of many, that we see a classic Araki beatdown. It explores desires, jealousy, and much more, so if that sounds interesting to you, then strap in for the third video in the Monogatari arc analysis series, where we will explore the beauty that is Bakemonogatari's Suruga Monkey. So if you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing, and ringing that bell, as I cannot explain to you how much such a small action can do for this channel, and if you want to support this channel even further, then perhaps check out my Patreon. Anyway, on with the video. Camry Suruga, the kohai of Araki and Senegahara. She's the ace of the school's basketball team and a girl who loves Senegahara Hitagi. At the start of the arc, Camry is stalking Araki. She appears all over the place, talking about random stuff to Araki and generally being around him. As we later learn, this is her trying to assess his worth as a partner to Senegahara. Although less clear in the anime than in the light novels, she repeatedly tests him to see if he is just after Senegahara for her body, if he truly cares for her as a person. On the one hand, she cares for Senegahara and wants her partner to actually love her, but on the other hand, on a deeper and darker level, Camry wishes for Araki to be unsuited as her lover. She wants to expose his true nature as a womanizer so she can justify her hate, or maybe so she has more hate of which to unleash on him. This results in her attacking him with the aid of the Rainy Devil, an oddity in the form of a monkey's paw, the mummified hand of the devil. The oddity grants 3 wishes in exchange for the soul of the user. It appears like a monkey's paw, and as such we believe it to be one, till Oshino shuts that story down. A monkey paw grants wishes in a way you don't expect, but the devil just grants them. But not your spoken wish, instead it peers deep into your soul and grants the true feelings, the true wish behind your wish. Camry first wished to be faster. She wanted to beat her classmates who bullied her in a race, but why did she seek to beat them? For revenge, to get back at them. So the Rainy Devil did just that. It got revenge on those kids, it saw Camry's rage and used it to grant her wish, putting all those kids in the hospital. Camry, fearing the devil, believing that the monkey paw just did as a monkey paw did, trained to be faster, switching to basketball where she could reign as the queen of speed. She was scared of the devil trying to grant the wish again, of it hurting anyone faster than her. Out of fear, she never used the devil's hand again, all until she saw Araki dating Senegahara. Camry was friends with Senegahara in middle school. No, she had a bona fide crush on her, one that was rejected and left Camry depressed. Once entering high school, Camry tried to reach out again, only to back off and leave Senegahara alone. And Camry thought this was fine. Until she had a reason to be jealous, it was fine. But after that, well, not so much. As soon as she understood that somebody else, that Araki, got through to Senegahara, she lost it. She didn't want them dating, she wanted to date Senegahara, and so she wanted Araki gone. Her wish on the surface may have been to be with Senegahara, but deep down she once again just wanted to hurt Araki. Hurt the man who stole away her first love, hurt the man who she was envious of. And so the Rainy Devil complies, beating Araki to a pulp. With his top tier detective skills, Araki works out quite quickly who the identity of his attacker is, and because he is Araki, he doesn't blame her for attacking him and instead takes her to see Oshino to try help her. The solution reached being a battle to the death between Araki and the Rainy Devil. No, between Araki and Camry. After all, it's not just the monkey's paw that attacks him, but Camry's feet too. If Camry fails to kill him, then the devil will not be able to fulfill the wish and hence will leave Camry alone. So all Araki needs to do is not die, making the wish void. At least that is what he believes the plan to be. Instead, Oshino calls Senegahara to the scene, and the real loophole in the wish takes effect. If Araki dies, then Senegahara will kill Camry, but if Senegahara kills Camry, the two can't be together, and hence the wish is voided. Love overpowers hate. As although the Rainy Devil does look deep down to your true desires, the heart of your wish, it doesn't just disregard the surface wish that's made. Sure, Camry didn't say beat up my classmates, but by doing so the wish was still granted. Her subconscious wish to hurt them aligned with her surface wish to be faster than them in a race. And well, why did she want to kill Araki? Out of jealousy. Because as her surface wish stated, she wanted to be with Senegahara. The devil doesn't grant wishes in unexpected ways, it grants wishes using your true desires and feelings, those being feelings of hate and envy. If it killed Araki, Senegahara would hate Camry, they would never get together, voiding the surface wish, and well also if Camry is killed, again they can't be together. The devil, not able to grant the wish, cannot pursue killing Araki again, but at the same time it cannot disappear because it's yet to grant a wish, hence it will remain attached to Camry's arm, and remain as a constant reminder of her past and her sins. And before anyone comments about how I am misunderstanding how the contract was voided, as I agree the explanation isn't all that clear, this is the exact description Araki gives in the Bakemonogatari voiceover, so trust me, this is what happened. But anyway, the wish was voided. Leaving Camry with no place to run and no monkey paw to fall back on, she faces her feelings head on, confessing to her senpai, and then is rejected, giving her closure, but at the same time not absolving her of her sins. From just this quick overview, I think a few themes such as inner conflict, wishes and maturity all jump out, and although we will explore all of these shortly, first we have to explore the beauty that is ambivalent, having mixed feelings or contradictory ideas about something or someone. Could there be a more appropriate word to describe Camry in this arc? Although I don't hear anyone really praising this opening, it's a personal favourite of mine, with some absolutely amazing visual storytelling to boot. This whole opening, at least in my opinion, as this is just my interpretation, not any objective truth, is set in Camry's mind. It's a physical expression of her mental turmoil. The opening starts with basketballs. We see her dunking a ball, usually a sign of victory, of triumph. Yet it is instead followed by Camry simply sitting down, a sign of her resignation. She is the ace of the basketball team. This dunk represents her prior to making the wish. However, that is sealed off when she makes the wish. She loses basketball, which is why she can't stand on the court any longer and so must sit down. But basketball is still around her. Basketballs are. They are literally orbiting her as if she is a planet. In other words, a world. Basketball is her world, but at the same time it's out of reach. Like how we can't hope to grasp the moon, she can't grasp the basketball satellites that orbit her. And at the same time she cannot escape them. They will always remain hanging in the sky, just out of reach. Something that brings her grief and hardship, since with the monkey paw's appearance, she is now barred from basketball, something she genuinely loves. We pan out from Camry, her getting smaller, a representation of her isolation. She is all alone, with the lyrics saying, "I stood there completely frozen, as if rooted to the spot." She's stuck in endless isolation, only able to gaze at her loves, basketball and Senegahara, from afar. Which is why we next see Senegahara and Araki. She's quite literally a third wheel in this situation, watching them from afar. Because as we see in this arc, she is a disconnected party. She is just Senegahara's old kohai. We see Senegahara's face, but only Araki's ahoge, because Camry isn't seeing him as a person, as an individual, just as an obstacle in her love. It's further shown in the show proper by how Camry just sees Araki as a silhouette. Senegahara in contrast is shown sitting like she is on some throne. She is the perfect idol in Camry's eyes. Also notice where Camry is situated, quite literally between them, as she acts as a wedge between them in this arc, in an attempt to split them up and steal back Senegahara for herself. The next visual shows Camry and Senegahara moving in opposite directions, a sign of their separation and the distance that grew between them. The fact they phase through one another shows how truly disconnected they now are from each other's lives. Something backed up by the lyrics which say, "Our worlds strayed from each other." After that we see Camry still stuck on the basketball court, but now surrounded by dozens of rainy devils. This is because she can't escape from her true feelings. They are closing in on her, threatening to take her over. The lyrics say, "I can't shake off these contradictory feelings," because she understands that these feelings, her inner ones represented by the rainy devil, don't make sense, yet she still pursues them anyway. Accepting she must act on her feelings, her bandages expand out into a giant lily. Lilies in this opening are very symbolic, as the Japanese word for a lily is yori, and well, if you know, you know. Yori is the Japanese word for girls love, or lesbians, so in this opening, lilies represent Camry's feelings of love for Senegahara. Her bandages turning into a lily then is her love combining with her hate, since the devil's arm represents her dark emotions of hate and envy. This may reference her second wish on the paw. Her surface wish was one of love, to be with Senegahara, but the deeper one was one of hate, to kill Araki. Her actions were fueled by both love and hate, hence why this flower is formed from hate but represents love. We see some visuals of Camry sucking candy and chewing gum, which feels like it might be a reference to something. Not something I recognise at least, so on the off chance it's not a reference, then maybe it ties into her being childish, another instance of her fixation on the past and not growing up beyond her childish middle school crush. I don't know, that might be a bit of a reach. And then we see loads of lilies, with Camry running across them. This is her pursuing her feelings, in other words her trying to rekindle her connection with Senegahara, aka the plot of this arc. She runs and jumps until she finds Senegahara stood atop a mountain of stationery. However, Senegahara's already left that behind. She's overcome her issues, so this version we see Camry running towards is just an image of the past. Their relationship is gone, and so to represent this, Senegahara cuts Camry in half, severing their past relationships, but also cuts the flowers. This is rejection, her rejection of Camry and her girl's love. As well, this is the only time in the opening where the colours are vivid. The whole opening is washed out, almost faded, as if to show how Camry's relationship with Senegahara is fading away, or maybe as another example of her looking at the past that's fading away, backed up by how the lyrics say, "This is not the future I've been longing for," with her choosing to look back at her fond memories of the past and confront the present. But she can't do this forever, hence the fading colours, and so only when she is rejected, she is snapped back to reality and to the present, hence the vivid colours. Though I must admit, I did just lie a little, as there is also one other vivid colour in the opening, and that is the basketball hoop right at the start of the opening, which most likely is because she has to face the present reality that she can no longer play basketball. It's a solid reality she cannot escape from, hence why she instead looks back at the other things she loves, Senegahara, for the rest of the opening, all until that too is crushed, or I guess cut, and that's why the opening ends as she runs out of past to look back at fondly. Damn, can we just all agree how amazing that opening is on visual storytelling level? It is superb. Sure, maybe a bit straightforward in terms of Monogatari openings, but god is it amazing nonetheless. I know this is a Camry arc, but first let's talk about Senegahara, as although her screen time is quite limited in this arc, what we do see speaks volumes of her maturation from Hitagi Crab onwards. I mean, the first clear sign is her admitting she no longer has a stapler to hand, and remember, her stationery was her defense mechanism, her way of keeping people away, so her feeling comfortable without them on hand shows how much safer she now feels and how she's able to let others in. Something even more clearly shown by how she basically does exactly what Araki did to her in Hitagi Crab to Camry in this arc. She reaches out, she sticks her nose in someone else's problem. She is proactive, saving Araki from being beaten to death and helping Camry to find closure and understand her feelings aren't wrong, but that some feelings will never go reciprocated. As the series continues, we see more and more examples of this new Senegahara, the most obvious examples being in Nekomonogatari Shiro and Koi Monogatari. But this show of care to help Camry is the first example of the true person Senegahara is underneath, a person worthy of standing by Araki's side, even if she doesn't believe that herself, all the way into the monster season. Who would have guessed it? A SephTheSin video where Seph talks about connection. I know I sound like a broken record with how much I bang on about connection, how I feel it's core to most of the series I talk about on this channel, but this is my video, and if I want to talk about how panties equate to connection, then I will talk about how panties equate to connection. However, before the panty talk commences, first let's all agree, this is an arc about a lost connection. Camry does everything she does as a result of her connection, or well, her broken connection with Senegahara. Camry, after all, is alone. The reason she made her first wish on the monkey's paw was because she felt excluded by her classmates. She was alone and so wanted revenge on those who left her in isolation. And her second wish was again because of this same reason. She missed her connection with Senegahara and she hated how Araki had taken her place. She envied Araki and the connection he had to Senegahara because she knew it was something she didn't have. Senegahara is quite literally her world, and so without her, Camry not only felt alone, but as if her entire world had been uprooted. She had other relationships, other connections, sure, but not like the one she lost. Her actions in this arc were fueled by her lack of connection, and the arc ends, it resolves, with her reforming a connection, as that is all Camry needed at the end of the day, a connection to fill the hole in her heart. She didn't need to be loved by Senegahara, she just wanted to stand by her side, to once again form a connection with her. But okay, enough of that, you want to hear me talk about panties. Now, I've already mentioned this in my Araki character analysis, but if you haven't seen it, then let me recap. Basically, throughout Kizumonogatari, Hanikawa's panties are used as a physical representation of her and Araki's relationship. First he sees them by accident, representing a fluke meeting, then he asks to see them, this showing his pursuit of friendship, but by just looking it shows he is still reluctant. As well, do remember his mindset in this part, the whole, friends bad stick. And then when she gives them to him, and more importantly he takes them, this is him accepting her as a friend. I explain it a bit better in my Araki video, and will explain it again in detail when we get to the Kaomi fan park analysis, but for now that's the gist. Panties overall in the series represent friendship. It's why the only characters who flaunt their panties around are Hanikawa, Araki's first friend, and Hajakuji, his best friend. But what does all this have to do with Suruga Monkey? Now this might be a reach and a half, but I do believe this was intentional, as we do not see Camry's panties, but what we do see is her bike shorts. This scene right here should have been a panty shot, but we were robbed because of Camry's bike shorts. If seeing panties is a metaphor for friendship, then what is being basically cock-blocked? It's because her feelings aren't genuine. Her approach on Araki at the start of the arc are not only of a desire to be friends with him, they are out of envy and hate. A meaningful connection, a friendship cannot be formed between them. There's a rift of hate that prevents it, and so Araki cannot lay eyes on her panties. This is the first sign we get that Camry's intentions aren't positive, that her excuse of wanting to get close to him was just that, an excuse. This is further expanded on when she goes on about whether she is wearing panties under her bike shorts, and if not, are her bike shorts now her panties? Because in that case, then did he technically see her panties, but he didn't realise? Much like how he first thought she was trying to be friends with him without realising her true motives. Eyes are the windows to the soul and panties the windows to the friendship. And if you want to just imagine that I never said a word about panties, then go ahead, as we will swiftly move on to talk about... She loves but hates. She is a lesbian but shows attraction to Araki. Inner conflict is the name of the game when it comes to Camry in this arc. As well, she is a complicated character with contradictory feelings. She's, ambivalent. Her thoughts and feelings are all over the place, something literally symbolised by the state of her room. She buys things on a whim and then never uses them. Just like how she has feelings she develops but pushes them deep down. Her mess of a room is like her mess of a heart, with her feelings lacking in order or stability. Much of Camry's motives are multi-layered. They come from various differing and often contrasting feelings, something excellently represented by her wish. On the surface it's one of love. She wishes to be with Senegahara, but deeper down it's a wish of hate, of her envy for Araki. As after all, hate isn't the opposite of love, it is indifference. Love and hate are intertwined, and Camry is a physical representation of this idea. She wants to hurt Araki, she quite literally wants him dead. But at the same time she does like him, she does appreciate his kindness and understands he's a good guy. She's a self-professed lesbian, but is shown multiple times throughout the story to have attraction for Araki, which I believe shows the restlessness in her heart, how what she wants, what she feels, keeps changing, because she is unable to get control of her life. To the point her dark impulses literally have taken over and act without her conscious thoughts. However, a key thing that I must stress is that this isn't a bad thing, that having mixed emotions isn't wrong, that we can be confused and troubled. Camry's feelings weren't wrong, her acting on them was not wrong. The problem was, she didn't accept that they were all hers. She tried to use an oddity as an excuse, but the feelings are all hers, and that is a lesson she has to come to understand. You need to act on what you think is right. That is the core message of Hana Monogatari, which is why this arc and Suruga Devil mirror one another so well. The first arc shows the danger of acting on your feelings recklessly, and the second shows the power in doing so with conviction. We aren't perfect, we are flawed, and our mindsets often don't make sense. Camry idolised Senegahara and comes to do the same for Araki, and this comes back to the root of the problem. She thinks people are perfect, that we are clean without contradictory thoughts or messy emotions. That might be why she was unable to help Senegahara, because she couldn't accept that her perfect senpai could face real issues, that she was just human. Know that Camry herself was human, that these feelings she feels are felt by everyone. She's not alone, she is the same as everybody else, but she can't grasp this, and as such she cannot even accept her true feelings are not the result of some trickster monkey's paw. We are all ambivalent, we aren't just medicine or poison, we are something in the middle. We are all ambivalent, we aren't just medicine or poison, we are something in the middle. Toei's catchphrase was a flawed one, something I think she came to understand herself, and that's why I believe she passed on the monkey's paw to her daughter, to teach her a lesson that we all have inner demons, dark thoughts, but that these are just as much us as what we present on the surface. Humans are defined by contradictions, is what makes us as a species so great, and slowly that is what Camry learns over the course of the series, and the first step to this learning process was accepting those feelings are valid, that they don't make her any less a person. On the contrary, they are what make us people. What is a fair price? What is a reasonable trade? The idea of costs of things of equal value is pivotal to this arc. Devils after all don't just grant wishes, they make contracts. I grant your wish and in return I get your soul. The Rainy Devil is not a genie, but at the same time it's not an evil spirit. It's just a transaction. It doesn't take your soul by force, it does so by exchanging something of equal value, 3 wishes. Camry cannot be called a victim in the strictest sense. She was the one to wish on the poor. She agreed to its terms when she asked for its help. The one to make the active decision, the one to reach out, was Camry. The rainy devil just did its job. Camry refusing this, trying to find a way out of this predicament, without accepting her own fault, without understanding that she literally brought this all on herself, is looking away from the truth, running away from it, because the truth hurts. She buries the truth deep down, below lies of positivity. It's how she copes. It's why she hid her feelings of anger and envy deep down and covered them with happy feelings on the surface. But there can't be such deception in fair deals, the devils are always fair. Camry was reluctant to have her arm lopped off to remove the paw, but as Oshino says, isn't that a fair price to lose an arm for attempted murder? Camry wanted to be helped but won't accept why she needs it, that she caused her own problems, and that as such the only one who can truly save her is herself, all on her own. If she was a guy, she wouldn't have been rejected. Aragi's only with Senegahara because he is a guy. This is the rationale Camry uses to run away from the fact Senegahara just didn't like her in that way. A way of convincing herself that there's just one simple reason why they can't be together. Camry, you see, hates herself, hates who she is, and uses her body, her gender as an excuse when it obviously isn't the reason. She sees Senegahara as her idol, as perfect, and so she must be imperfect and ugly in comparison. She just isn't good enough, that's all. She wallows in self-hatred. That is the only way she knows to escape her fears, to cope with the fact that Senegahara just doesn't like her. She degrades herself and her body in her mind, as that way she can justify why her idol doesn't like her. She doesn't like me because I'm a girl. It's something beyond Camry's control, and as such it can never be proven to not be the reason. But at the same time, it can never be changed. She envied Aragi not just because he was at Senegahara's side, but because he was who she wanted to be, the person she thought she will forever be unable to be, just another source of her self-hatred. Camry once again shows her dislike for who she is, making excuses for why things can't happen based on the simple fact she is herself. This makes her like Aragi in a lot of ways, why her arc in Hana Monogatari ends the very same way as Aragi's does in Owari Monogatari, by learning to love herself. True desires are different from wishes. If a wish is just the words you use to convey your desires, then your desires themselves are things so abstract they must be translated into words to be conveyed. Some things become lost in translation. The desire to want to get revenge on your classmates might become a wish to be faster than them. Because humans and our emotions, our dreams and our desires, can't be so simply put into words. That's why only a devil, something beyond humanity, can see past the words and gaze on their desires themselves. Wishes and desires are one and the same, but they're polar opposites in the exact same way. Camry didn't wish on the palm to help kill Senegahara, but she did to kill Aragi. There's obviously various reasons for this, such as how Camry didn't understand how her idol could be so human in her suffering, or how she didn't dare interfere when told no by the person whose opinion she valued most. But the key one I want to focus on is that Camry doesn't think she is a good person. Her constant praise of others, her idolization of her senpais, is all rooted in her own personal insecurities, that she isn't good enough, that she falls short. She can more easily imagine acting on her negative desires than her positive ones, because her image of herself is a negative one. In a lot of ways, she is the most accomplished of the main cast, the school star, the basketball ace, yet she doesn't see it that way. She can more easily imagine hurting a rival in love than helping the one she loves. And she doesn't see herself as worthy enough to help Senegahara, but she does see herself as someone low enough to hurt Aragi. Shadows are the parts of us we cannot see, or the parts we refuse to acknowledge. Camry has many dark desires, many deep emotions and thoughts she refuses to acknowledge. She is convinced the devil is a monkey because she cannot accept those feelings are her own, but of course they are. They are just the shadow cast by her wishes, the lies she tells to convince herself that the truth, that her shadow, does not exist. The rainy devil was a Jungian shadow after all, an oddity that criticised and attacked Toei, and now it acts as a shadow once again, bringing those desires Camry harbours but doesn't act on to the surface. Camry wanted Aragi dead, not just her subconscious thoughts but her actions too. She kicked him with the intent to kill, as the feelings were, and always had been, just her own. Your shadow is just as much you as the you that you know. All parts are needed to make a whole. Ignoring them, passing them off to an oddity, Those methods will never work. All you can do is face them. Whether you accept them or destroy them is up to you, but you must acknowledge they exist. Which is what Camry does. She exposes her true feelings to the world and so can no longer deny them. She has to choose. She has no choice but to accept them. She takes a good long look at herself and decides it's not good enough, that she can do better, that she can't just go and be overtaken by her demons, that she can do better. But not because she is a bad person or because she is inferior, but because she is Camry Suruga and she should take pride in that fact. The takeaway lessons from this arc are numerous. Be honest with your feelings, understand we're all just human, don't hate yourself for being you, and most importantly to me, don't give in to your inner demons. Because if you aren't careful, they might take over and consume your life. The Rainy Devil just brings out your dark desires, it brings out those parts of yourself you are scared of, your shadow you want to keep buried, but by suppressing these feelings you are just letting them fester until they become too strong and overtake you. Camry gave in to her demons, she was too scared to act on her desires herself. Those feelings in and of themselves aren't a bad thing, they are just a part of the whole that is you, but you need to keep them in check, or better yet you have to use them as a lesson to improve. To overcome her first wish, her desires of hate and revenge, Camry trained to get faster to escape the devil's power, she bettered herself. A wish didn't make her faster, but her own efforts did. She used her dark desires as motivation to become better, to escape them and become a person who has no fear of being ruled by these feelings and desires. By training to counter this wish, she became faster, and more importantly she discovered basketball, her second love behind Senegahara. One of her greatest love was discovered due to her own actions of self-betterment, due to her fighting back against her dark desires, which were personified by the wish. Camry of course didn't realise this, but this is exactly what she was doing. It's the same with her second wish, she had to open up to Senegahara, she had to face rejection and not run away to once again escape the devil, and by doing so she once again bettered herself. The devil brought out the worst in her, and so she had to bring out the best in herself to best it, to escape it, to become strong enough where its effects no longer mean squat. The devil forced her to become better, to self-better, and well maybe this is the reason her mother left that mummified left hand to her, as a motivation tool to her daughter, a lesson in your inner demons and how you choose to face them. Suruga Monkey is rather basic when you boil it down to its most basic elements. A girl has a hateful heart but blames those feelings on an oddity, and when she is told these feelings are her own, she has to open up and accept them to save herself. But that doesn't mean it is any less incredible, as it's a lesson we can all learn, that we all have dark thoughts, that we all have unreasonable desires, but that doesn't make us bad people. However, the thing is, if you try to distance yourself from those desires, try to blame them on something else, then you aren't fixing the issue, you are just deflecting. We aren't all good, we all have flaws and negative traits, but that doesn't make us bad people. We may look up to people as idols, but they are still human like us, they have the same struggles as us, the same flaws, and they also have negative traits. We all make mistakes, we all think dark things, but that doesn't outweigh the rest of us, as nobody is perfect, and to hold yourself to that standard is wrong. Don't let your demons overtake you, but also understand that you are only human. That's the biggest takeaway I got from this arc, so if you have a different takeaway then please comment down below, I'd love to hear what you got to say. And if you want to go the extra mile in supporting this channel, then consider pledging to my Patreon, where for as little as £2.75 a month you can get your name at the end of the video, like Hikari Desu, 7SO, Ringjack9696, Dewey and General Tonyos. So with all that said and done, I've been SephTheSin, the Deadly Sin of Geek, and I'm signing out. Stay safe everyone.